All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue to look at graphing quadratics and finding their characteristics. I'm actually going to avoid the graphing piece, and we're going to talk about finding the characteristics without graphing. So here we have y equals 2x squared plus 3. All right, so we're actually going to start by finding the axis of symmetry, and in order to do so, we're going to use a formula. X equals negative b over 2a. And remember, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. In this case, we're missing the bx term. So b is going to be 0, which doesn't matter what 2 times a is because that's going to give us 0. So that means the axis of symmetry is 0, or the y-axis. Knowing that, we can take this value for x and substitute that into the equation to find what the corresponding y value would be. So 2 times 0 squared plus 3 basically gives us a value of 0 here, so y equals 3. So then the vertex is located at 0, 3. Now, from here we're going to decide if there's a maximum or a minimum. If your a is greater than 0, well, let me write that somewhere else. Hold on. So if a is greater than 0, that's awful. Let me try that one more time. If a is greater than 0, it's a minimum. If a is less than 0, there's a maximum. And in this case, our a is 2. 2 is greater than 0. So that means the parabola is going to look like this. So there's going to be a minimum. And when we talk about the y-intercept is where x is always 0. And if you notice, we already have that here. So that means the y-intercept is at 0, 3. Now, I want to talk about the minimum means that the graph is opening up, right? So there's like a floor here. Another one. So again, we have A, B, and C. So for my axis of symmetry, I have negative b over 2a. So to solve this, my b is 12, so this will be a negative 12 over 2 times negative 3. So negative 12 over negative 6, which gives us a positive 2. So that means the axis of symmetry is at 2. Okay? So from here, we're going to go ahead and find our vertex. Knowing that x is 2, that means we're going to go ahead and substitute 2 for x. So y equals negative 3 times 2 squared, of course, plus 12 times 2 plus 1. Of course, you could throw this all into a calculator. This will be negative 3 times 4 plus, I'm going to put that in parentheses so I don't forget that, plus 24 plus 1. So negative 12 plus 25 equals 13. So it means the y value is 13. So then we can say that our vertex is at 2. Oh, that's not a great color. Let's try that again. Is at 2, 13. All right. Now we're going to talk about maximum or minimum again. In this case, our a value is negative 3, which means this parabola is actually going to open downward. So that means here there is a maximum at 13. because 13 is that y value. Remember, the y's would determine if there's a max or a minimum. Now let's go to that y-intercept. This is where x is 0. So if you substitute 0 for x, basically you're going to end up canceling the first two terms. So this has a value of 0, this has a value of 0, so that means the y-intercept is at 0, 1. One more. All right, here we go. A, B, C. So negative B would be a negative 9 over 2 times 3. So this would be 9 over 6. It's going to be a fraction, so it's going to be a little yucky, but 3 over 2, or if you want to go to a decimal, it's okay with me if you go to 1.5, just because decimals are a little more user-friendly when it comes to substituting and, solving. So now that I know my axis of symmetry is 1.5, I'm going to take that value, remember this is x, and I'm going to substitute that. So we have 3 times 1.5 squared minus 9 times 1.5 plus 2. Of course, a calculator comes in super handy here. So we have 3 times 1.5 squared. So you have to square 1.5 first, and so on and so forth, depending on how you're using this. But I got a y value equals negative 4.75. So the vertex is located at 1.5, negative 4.75. Okay? Now, the a value is 3. So that means it's positive. Remember, these are positives, these are negative a values. It means that there is a minimum at negative 4.75. Remember, the vertex tells you a lot in most of these contexts. All right, last but not least, y-intercept. Remember, you should be noticing a trend here that the first two terms get canceled. So the y-intercept is at 0, 2.